Hello. How are you? Hello, Ireland. Hopefully your weather in Ireland is much warmer than here in Montreal, Canada. We're -8 Celsius at this time. But our heart is good. We feel good, and very happy to be with you again today. Sorry for last week. We missed each other. So there were some technological problems to resolve. With you, and hopefully in the near future, we on a regular basis we will meet and share all together, and so that to bring back hope, so that because those are the questions we have received already. So during the show, feel free to ask any questions, your comments. Uh, Tell us if you like that kind of show and sharing and so forth. So we'll try to please most of you, and again bring hope back. So and I think with all the new research and the new technologies and so forth, we have to stay very hopeful because yes, you can do it. So one of the first questions and we received already, and thank you for Hannah who sent me this question. So it goes like, why do 95% of dieters fail? This I'm very happy, Hannah, that you asked that question, because there's the you know about fake news. So 95% of people failing is not true. There's no scientific data, research showing that. In the reality, the science says what? If you take, for example, the group of people, let's imagine they've lost 140 pounds, 10 kilos, okay, over time. So a year, you got 10 kilos. So that 95% means that after a certain time, they may have regained some weight. So 95% means that there's still 5% less than they used to be on average for the group. So, for example, if they've lost, we said 10 stone, but they're still half a stone lighter, maybe 4 or 5 years later. So this is a success, Mark. It's not a failure thing. It's a success. There's still 5% of the weight loss, which is they don't weigh, and we know that 5% of weight loss is already good to decrease diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure. It's not the best thing. We would like people to maintain all the weight. So, and this happens when people are not followed. So they're not, say, on a regular basis, let's say on a monthly basis, would see a counselor, would see a person, or be in touch with some motivational tool. So when they do so, 4 years later, and this is how our research ended up. So 82% of the weight loss is still maintained. So it's major on average. The secret of long-term maintenance is a regular monthly follow-up. Usually is enough. Just a few minutes to meet a counselor or somebody that will help you, a health professional that will help you maintain your motivation and just stay accurate. Because we try to find out what are the markers? Is it because those who are highly perfectionistic will lose better or maintain better? Is exercise a factor? We didn't find nothing. The only thing that we found is that to maintain the weight, just keep up a regular monthly follow-up, or about and 84% of the weight loss will still be maintained 4 or 5 years later. So it's a very successful. So I would like to say that 95%, yes, it's a failure. It's not true. It's a 5% success rate. So that's for me very important. So hope is back. So we have other questions that I've received. Bill, say, why does my weight plateau after being on the diet for a while? Why does my weight plateau after being on a diet for a while? So that's an interesting question. First, I have to tell you, there's no physical plateau. Physiologically, if you eat less than you burn, and then you eat, when there's a caloric deficit, you're going to keep on losing weight. It's impossible. Just imagine the concentration camp at the Second World War. There's no people there who stayed obese or overweight. They all lost weight. But the plateau, there may be different reasons. First, sometimes for a week or two, if you're more stressed, you can retain a lot of water, and this may show that there's no weight loss, there's no fat loss, but in reality, they may have some fat loss, but water will replace it. Bodybuilding, if you do a lot of exercise and build up your muscles, it may end up bringing the scale higher, but it's muscles, less fat, more muscles. Most of the time, though, it's mostly psychological. So the main reason why people come to our clinics and consult motivation, for example, is because suffering. So they feel bad, and they fed up about feeling bad. So and they're highly motivated. The lower, the worse they feel, then the motivation is, yes, I'm fed up of feeling so bad, then I'll do something. But after usually about 10 pounds or 1 stone or so, 1 stone and a half, people don't feel as bad. So they have achieved their goal, which was to say, I don't want to feel bad again, physically and psychologically bad. So they have obtained their goal. And so this is when the motivation goes down. Well, I'm not so bad, so what the heck? So, and they want to start deviate a little bit more, have a little more carbs or alcohol or other calories on any kind. So that's very important. So most plateau, after a month or two, most of the time it's mostly motivational because they have achieved their unconscious goal to not feel as bad. So then this is the time to say, and that's why the follow-up with your counselor is very important, to start by way, okay, write down everything that you eat. So, and weigh it, because after a while, so the weight of the food is not the same. So you have an extra mouthful and another extra mouthful of food. So that's very important. So weigh your food and write it down for a couple of days, and you'll see probably where we have changed some habits already, that you consume more than you think. So, Bill, that is also a very, very interesting question. So, let's see here, we have Padraig Wash. On the news tonight, the Irish Safe Food body said the protein bars contain a lot of chocolate, saturated fat, and salt. They recommend to have a yogurt containing chocolate, saturated fat, and let me see that I see it well on the the chocolate, saturated fat, and salt. They recommend to have a yogurt instead. That's also interesting because there's so much information. So we don't know who to trust. We don't know who to trust. So my own experience after 50 years as a physician interested in the weight management and also of human behavior, I would say there's no bad food and there's no perfect food. Everything has to be in moderation. Is saturated fat so bad? The answer is no. Is too much saturated fat is bad? The answer is yes. So it's always a matter of quantity, of moderation. Salt is the same thing. Probably 80% of people can have maybe a bit too much salt, and they will eliminate it. They will pee it, and they won't suffer from it. But there's probably 20% of people that are sensitive to salt, and that may interfere with their blood pressure and so forth. So again, it's moderation, because without no salt, for example, you wouldn't live long. Probably something like 6 weeks, I don't think you'll get to 8 weeks without salt at all, because salt is very important for all our cells, for our kidneys, for our blood pressure. So too much salt is bad. Too much saturated fat is bad. But I think you can have of everything, but in moderation. And depending on the diet which you follow, sometimes you follow the advices we're going to give you. But this is my own feeling. So yogurt is good again, but you can have yogurt with too much carbs, too much sugar. So try to go for a plain one. And you can have some fat, but again, moderation is the key. Moderation, and there's another key word that I think in nutrition for me nowadays is variety. Because if you have too much of something, even if you think about sucralose or aspartame and so forth, if you have small amounts, okay, your body is trained to eliminate all the toxic foods, arsenic. Probably every day we can have arsenic, even from our tap water. So, but if you have very small quantities, you won't get sick. But if you have once a huge quantity of arsenic, you're going to die. So our body, even if everything is not perfect in what we consume, if you go in variety, because in variety, if there's some pesticide in the vegetables and another kind in another one, if you make variety, you may have a little bit of different things, so your body will be able to eliminate it, and you're going to stay healthy. And a good way to understand it, life expectancy in the last years in your country, in mine, is going up. Now it's close to 80 years. And we have been eating and drinking a lot of stuff that maybe are not the best thing for us. But again, we don't die right away. So it is important to understand that, and I would say not to freak out. There's no perfect food. There's no so bad food. Moderation and variety also is very, very important. So, do we have more questions? I think so. Jennifer, I'm watching on the bus right now. Well, nice talking to you, Jennifer. Let's say what Jennifer McKenzie, what do you recommend when medically required hormone treatment seems to me to mean weight gain? That's interesting. It's probably true most of the time that hormone replacement will bring some water retention. What we do know, it's about 3 pounds of water retention, and that's it. So, and it's not fat, it's mostly water. And if you walk, for example, 20 minutes more a day, you're going to balance that. So those extra pounds will be replaced by physical activities, burning calories. So I would say it's something like 20 minutes a day of walking would balance your weight, and you shouldn't gain more weight. Otherwise, the danger with menopause and so forth. So most people, unfortunately, will exercise less for different reasons, sometimes knee problem, arthrosis, or so they're going to exercise less. Their social life sometimes is more elaborate. They work less physically because they're maybe retiring pretty soon or what. So there are all other causes that may be responsible for weight gain. But by the hormone itself, so if you need them, I would suggest that you keep taking them, because you may feel much better psychologically. There are many menopause people, female for sure, that won't feel good with menopause. It can bring them depression, irritability, mood changes, mood swings, and sometimes major, which may interfere even with the relationships with people around. So then I think it's a good thing to have some hormone replacement. I'm not against it. If you don't need, don't take. If you don't have any symptoms related to the menopause. But if you do need, I suggest that you take some. And risk on cancer, breast cancer, and so forth is very, very, very small. It's less than 1% risk. So the quality of life is more important, and I think I would suggest that you take it and just walk a little bit more every day, and you won't see much different. Exercise is because the fat also at menopause will change. It won't be on your body at the same places. So you may have more fat on your belly and so forth. So exercise and do some light muscle training. That's good too. So it doesn't have to be heavy workout, but light workout, stay active, walk, and this is very healthy and will help for your life expectancy and quality of life, which is the most important. So what do we have here again? Thank you, Jennifer. Actually, he's asking, great to see you online. Great to see you online. So I don't see you, but since I know you, I imagine. So hope you are doing well, actually. So yeah, thank you. If I still look well, working hard. Working hard at it. Well, what I'm saying, like to the previous to Jennifer, I'm exercising also regularly. And there's no miracle fit, so eat properly and stay away from carbs as much as possible and exercise, and also work on the chronic stress situation. So that's important. I've written, while you're aware, I've written in French 14 books. I think in English we have about half of this, and mostly on stress management, the motivation. So there are also the keys with a good nutrition and exercise. So those are the three cornerstones of health and so forth. So what do I see? And looking, well, that you would say to people who have tried so many other programs and doubtful that the motivation program will work. I will tell you something which may sound funny. If a person, the real challenge is the person that we see in a clinical environment. Do they want to change? When they come to see us, when to go to motivation, to lose weight, do they really want to? If they really want to, and follow the basis of our programs, it is impossible for those people not to lose the weight. It is, I repeat, impossible for these people not to lose the weight. If you train regularly, it's impossible not to be more fit. Impossible. If you train, jog, bike, or any other exercise, your muscle will improve, your heart will improve. It's impossible not. It's the same thing for the weight loss, and that's why, like, today I would like to bring hope. Yes, we need to commit ourselves to do some changes, but the quality of life is endless. So the challenge that people have, I mean, will I go for the quick pleasure of eating something, drinking something, or to the more important self-satisfaction of who we are as a human being, and being able to do things you like to, have drip, work, have a relationship with your kids, with friends, and so forth. So the quality of life, the well-being of an individual, it's so many things. It's not only food, it's not only exercise, it's not only everything is tied up. So I would say it's basically, we are all in a spiritual journey. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about spiritual journey, where do we stand on this earth, and where do we want to go? What's the meaning of my life? And I think when I'm more energetic, I feel it, and so forth. So, well, anyway, in my case, that's the case, because I'm so pleased to share with you guys. And like I did almost, 15, 20, the first time was maybe 20 years ago that I had the pleasure to go to Ireland. I've been so many times, and every time it's been it gives a meaning to my own life. So I try to bring that sense of living and good living and feeling good to all the people I encounter, and patients, clients from motivation and my clients from home. So sharing is the key. So so sometimes some people call me Dr. Hope, but I like the I like the word. Jess, I did motivation twice, but I put back my weight. Okay, Jess, you're normal. Okay, did you know the when a people, let's say, who has alcohol problems, alcoholic, and we go in a special center to stop drinking. Do you know the percentage of success the first time a person gets into those centers? I'll tell you, close to zero. Almost everybody will go once, but will have to go two, three, four, 5 times. More often you go, okay, to be detoxified. Every time, if you stop and learn, so what didn't work the first time? How was I thinking, and so forth. So every time you get closer to succeeding. So I do see people after so many years that have been able to lose the weight and be able to maintain after a while. But sometimes it may take 2, 3, 4 tries. But every time, ask yourself, did I get everything in? Did I? Because we can know things. It's, oh yes, stress is a problem. Oh, motivation, I don't know how to motivate. Yeah, but have you be able to internalize? So that's the gesture I use usually to make a sense inside ourselves. Okay, now you understand. So this has been my challenge as a doctor, to help people connect with their inner self. And when you do that, so every time you get closer to success. So that's why I say difficulties, errors, regaining weight, they're marvelous opportunities in order to improve. Yeah, marvelous opportunities in order to improve. So what have you learned from the past experiences? What you won't repeat next time? And again, be followed up after. Most people regain the weight because they don't follow up with their counselor and so forth. So I would recommend that monthly you keep going and do the mental weight questionnaire that motivation uses. And hopefully you have done it and you repeat it. So even 2, 3, 4 years from now, keep doing it, and you see changes, maybe in your motivation, maybe in your physical activity, maybe in your food intake, maybe in your emotions, how you feel more stressed, less stressed, more depressed. So it is, when you repeat it monthly, it's very, very sensitive, and you're going to stay always focused. I mean, and the success rate, I told you, it's over 80%. So 4 or 5 years from now. So that's the secret. So keep up, I think, and congratulations to ask the question. I think it's a very, very interesting question, because be aware you're not alone, because that's the challenge of most people who started to diet one day. So that's good. Thanks, Jess. Catherine Nays, I've done the program twice and hit my goal each time. Well, congratulations. Really enjoyed the program, but can't keep weight off. All the 3 stone back on. So I would say that, tell the same thing that I said to Jess, keep on going. And maybe take care on different things. So nutritionally, take care when you start back with carbs. Because sometimes after a couple of weeks or months of dieting, people sometimes feel like they're coming out of prison and they're ready to overstuff themselves with carbs. Carbs will open up your appetite, will make it much tougher to control the quantity that you eat. So take care about that. Second, be followed monthly. Repeat the monthly, the questionnaire, the mental weight questionnaire monthly, and take care. You'll see sometimes, because since you have reached your unconscious goal, I don't suffer as much than I used to be. Now I have attained my goal. I don't suffer. But the real goal is to feel great about yourself and don't want to lose that feeling of greatness, because most people will lose the weight, feel much better, attain their unconscious goal, not to feel as bad. And the real goal is not to feel great and No, it's not to feel as bad. So, and then when you regain the weight, well, you feel bad again, and then you restart. Well, great, it's better to do that. It's just like quitting smoking. If you stop 1, 2, 3, 4 times, one day is maybe the good time. So every time learn from it. And the other reasons why that there are carbs and so forth, the other reasons, look at the stress level, emotional. So emotions, what you're going through, and stay focused. Okay, so you have some problem at home, you have a problem at work, you have the kids. So, and there's always something to be done. So at Motivation, the books I've written and so forth use a lot of what we call cognitive therapy. So our thoughts are responsible for our emotions, and when we can manage, change those unrealistic thoughts, more realistic. Yes, you can do it. It's just a simple technique, but by redoing it, so you learn more each time. So again, keep up. Good luck. So thank you to have asked the question, Catherine. So Tony Finnegan, how can I reduce feeling bloated? Oh, well, that's going to be tough to answer that question because if I understand well, you're bloated after having eaten, for example. So this may be you have eaten too much, maybe too much water or drinks or liquids with it so that you feel more. And sometimes, like you're aware, legumes and so forth may end up with having more gas. Stress sometimes, when people are really stressed out, unconsciously we swallow more air. Everything we do, I swallow air, and then there are periods you're going to have you feel more bloated because of the air in the stomach. So bloated doesn't mean extra fat. It doesn't mean excess fat. It's mostly or the liquid or the gas accumulated in your stomach and now in your bowels. So you may ask for some help or look at what you eat, how you eat, liquid with the meal and legumes and grains and fibers. Sometimes people will feel more bloated. So you'll be able to identify those foods that are probably responsible for your bloating. Again, thank you, Anne. I'm on Tamoxifen, okay, for breast cancer probably. Well, one side effect, unfortunately, of Tamoxifen is the weight gain. Many medications are responsible for weight gain. Cortisone are responsible for weight gain. Antidepressive medications are responsible for weight gain. Antipsychotic medications are also responsible for weight gain. Also, there are many different beta blockers for heart problems also responsible. So if you really do need a medication, discuss it with your physician. But still, you need probably to be more stricter with what you eat and keep up exercising to burn more so than you keep your healthy weight. Because gaining weight, even with a cancer, it is bad even as a prognosis of future. So the best thing is to stay at your healthy weight and exercise a little bit more, check a little bit more on what you eat, and this should help to maintain the weight. So now we've been almost together for half an hour. I've got the Donna also. There's another question from Anne. Okay, I'm on Tamoxifen for a year and a half. Yeah, and it's tough for belly weight. I go to gym 3 times a week, but cannot seem to shed the weight from that area. Any hips? Well, you're right. So that's the side effects of Tamoxifen. Keep up, because if you don't do that, you're going to gain much more weight. And probably you maybe, I don't know for how long you're going to take it, maybe for another half a year, and then it's going to be easier to lose that extra weight in the meantime. But it's worthwhile to do it because you could gain much more weight, and which is not good for cancer risk also. So, Patrick, Wash, how can you improve your thought process to remain positive during challenging time? Do you think medication is still a good option? No, no, no. I don't think medication doesn't change your thoughts. Um, it freezes them. So just like alcohol or drugs will freeze your emotions, so you don't feel anxious as much and so forth. But they don't cure anything. So I think it's just the cognitive therapy and well, the thoughts that you have. Yes, we have the possibility to change our thoughts. Our thoughts come from our past, from what we've gone through since childhood, our parents, at school, work, spouse, and everything. So we have accumulated so many thoughts over time, and most of those thoughts, when they bring up negative emotions, stress, anxiety, anger, and so forth, are what we call unrealistic thoughts. Unrealistic. So you have first to identify those unrealistic thoughts and then change it for more realistic thoughts. For example, you don't tell me what your challenging time is. Let's say that you're at work and your boss is not happy. So if you get home and say, oh, I can't lose my job. I shouldn't. I should please my boss. I should not without work and so forth. So if you think I should, it's a must that I keep my job and so forth. So when you have that kind of thoughts, it's a must. I can't. Well, that's unrealistic. Yes, you can lose your job. Yes, you can have problems with your spouses or your children and so forth. So there's a difference between demands. It has to be this way. Obligation. I can't lose my. Well, unfortunately, it can. So the difference between our demands are our preference. So I would prefer to keep my job. I would prefer to stay with my spouse. But it may happen. I'll do my best so that doesn't happen. So that's the difference between a realistic thought and unrealistic one. So I recommend one of my Be Thin, Mastering your emotions. So you're going to find many examples, and it's relatively easy to apply. And the books also, I think, where it's very, very well explained. I recommend the Why book. And so you're going to have all those. There's only 5 negative emotions. So you're going to learn to identify them and which thoughts bring them. And then you see how you can confront those unrealistic thoughts to more realistic thoughts. So, well, that's great. So I do see we have many others. So then we'll go with George. Hi, George. So what advice would you give clients who are perfectionistic and cannot manage their slips on the plan as a result? Well, I think that's about the same answer. That one problem in our society and in yours, because we did some with your data from Ireland, we did research where we were measuring perfectionism on people in Ireland, in Canada, and in France. Maybe you'll be happy to learn that the more perfectionistic one, which is a fault, it's not a quality, whether you put a lot of demand on yourself and on others and on life, so it has to be this way, it has to be this way, it should be, I must, and so forth. So the more perfectionistic are the French women especially. Irish, they're fairly, well, there's still a major tendency to perfectionism, but it's less important than in France. So, well, all that pressure that we put ourselves. So that's why I say, if you don't maybe allow yourself to fail. Yes, It's impossible. No, it doesn't exist. An unrealistic thought is like an idealistic thought. Ideal, does it exist? No, it doesn't exist. So the same thing. I have to admit that sometimes, yes, I'll do my best, but it can fail. Yes, give yourself that right to fail and learn from that. There are marvelous opportunities in order to improve. So already we've been 35 minutes, so I'm very pleased. So keep up even sending your questions. Next time I'll answer them best I could. Give you appraisal of what we've done already. And let's team up again next time. So thanks again, and have a great day. So we'll try to warm up at -8 Celsius in Quebec. It's cold today. Ciao, bye.